Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this session on integrating tried and tested solutions for deep renovation of the EU building stock. This session is organized by 5 Horizon 2020 projects: EUROPA, outPHit, Remodules, Save the Homes, and SMAFIN. I hope that you will find the session interesting. The logic behind this session and discussion that will follow is quite practical, I would say, quite simple. Very often when we work in Horizon projects, in research projects more in general, we look for innovation, we look for solutions that have not been tried before. Of course, there is a substantial room for innovation regarding deep renovation that is quite clear. On the other hand, there's quite a lot of knowledge and experience out there that has already been tried and tested. And very often the integration of such solutions is precisely the innovation that we need. We are now in a rather strange situation. In the past, we've said that, for example, cheap energy is a problem because it's not a motivation for renovation. On the other hand, now we don't have, at least temporarily, cheap energy in Europe. Nevertheless, we do not necessarily see, let's say, a huge renovation wave picking up in our daily lives. It's often considered a long-term solution, whereas quite possibly it's here already. So I would like to welcome today's speakers, Jérôme Chardon from the EUROPA project, Etienne Beckemans from the outPHit project, and Giel Boonstra, also from the outPHit project, Julia De Aloisio from Remodules, and instead of Ana Sanchez Huertas, we will have today Miriam Navarro Escudero from Save the Homes project, and Kiki Papadopoulou from the SMAFIN project. Thank you for being with us today. It would be great, Jérôme, if you can open your camera as the first speaker. I will be sharing the slides here, and you can at any time tell me to move to the next slide, and I will do so. So thank you. Thanks everyone for being with us, and we can now start.
Okay, so hello everyone. So I'd like to talk today about the EUROPA project, so which is completely involved in the question of deep renovation of residential buildings. Next slide, please. So what about the EUROPA project? I'm going to start really by the basics. So of course it's a H2020 project, and we have all noticed that residential buildings are very hard to renovate, and specifically to go really into a real deep renovation journey. So the project has the aim to really face and challenge all the barrier that house owners, market operators, property managers face when they really plan and implement renovation and, I would say, performant and efficient projects. Next, please. So inside the EUROPA project, we have several partners, of course, and project leader is Region Piemonte in Italy, assisted with Andrew Park Steel in Italy too. We have a lot of energy agencies like EDSA in Germany, Ariana Terro in Portugal, Raymark and Ageden. These energy agencies are promoting locally the project, and we have also some support partners like Climate Islands, Ecobureaus, and Funding for Future. Next slide, please. So quickly about Ageden, we are very local energy associations in France, specifically in Rhône-Alpes, Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes region. We are now 52 people, and we are specialized in energy management, and we do promote renewable energies and, let's say, globally environmental protection. we have a lot of support targets, and specifically residential buildings owners. Next slide, please. So if we go just a bit deeper into the European mission, we want through this project not only to solve a part of the energy problems or energy consumptions in the building, but also to bring a healthy environment for the inside the dwellings. So we want to really work on simplifying the deep renovation journey for all stakeholders involved. And I think one word which is really important is the trust. How to build the trust and to apply the highest caliber of expertise among the market operators. So, and one other part of the mission is also to give public authorities and also private ones some kind of mutual learning programs to make them efficient players in the field. Next slide, please. So the three core mechanisms of EUROPA is first a one-stop shop. The second one is energy efficiency subscription, and the third one is the replication process. I'd like to say that for European projects, the one-stop shop is interesting, but not completely new, and it is the same for a replication process. The reason why I'd like to focus a bit more on energy efficiency subscription. Next slide, please. Yes, next one. So I would just say a word about what is for us the energy efficiency subscription. We want to challenge the way that the works are done, specifically for deep renovations. So in this project, we want to implement and facilitate the decision making, providing a framework with which the market operators will produce not only the engineering and architectural studies, but also the works and also the maintenance operation, and also the verification at the end of the works and during all the period of the contract that the efficiency is really obtained. So when we're talking about building trust between residents and service providers, is we engage all the market operator in providing a level of efficiency contractually. That is a way to say, okay, you have paid for one result, energy savings, for example, and then you're gonna have it. It is contractually designed. So it is also a way to ensure transparency from the beginning of the project, the contract, till the end. And also just said that we want also to guarantee healthy and comfort, because energy is one thing and comfort, or the sensation of comfort, is another one sometimes. It is also a way through this energy efficiency subscriptions to standardize and to try to scale up the building renovation process. Next slide, please. Just go just a bit deeper quickly about the general structure of our contract. We have some compulsory criteria, I would say, specifically about energy, and also how to choose our market operators. They have to provide the information regarding their qualifications, certifications, and experience through residential buildings renovation. And we have also a lot of other criteria. Some of them are optional, about health, environment, and also if we go deeper in the EPMVP process. Next slide, please. One other important thing is the way the finance is done through this contract, because we try to duplicate a financial scheme we have from our partner in Latvia. They use, let's say, a financial vehicle which is called a BIF, which provides a way to do some third financial scheme. And it is very important that the costs of the works are in fact are paid all along the contract for maybe 10, 15, or 20 years. So it's not a huge amount of money to bring at the very beginning of the project, but during all the contract. So it is really a way to finance the project, which is which is much more acceptable for the owners. So I'd like to say that it brings guarantees for energy efficiency, and also it eases drastically the making decision process. So of course we're going to have the opportunity to go a bit deeper if you need some more explanations, because of course this kind of graphs is not very clear the way it is just like that. Next slide. Okay, that's it for me. I know it's a lot of data, and it requires a lot of clarification, so please ask. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. And as noted in the chat, feel free to add your comments and your questions there. So we now move to Etienne Wegemans from the outPHit project, from Professif specifically. Etienne, the floor is yours. You can also open your camera if you want, and of course unmute. Thank you.
Well, warm welcome to this session dedicated to the project outPHit. outPHit is an EU project of H2020, which is dedicated to making cheaper, faster, and more efficient global renovation thanks to prefabrication. And well, I will present briefly the concept, and afterwards we'll see with two examples, the one in France and another one in the Netherlands with my colleague Gilles Bonsra, why the outPHit project works and what it brings to the whole community. Well, the concept in
Etienne, sorry, you've muted. Can you unmute? I cannot mute you.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Now you should be able to hear
the concept itself is basically simple. It's using prefabricated modules to isolate and to protect the old building, so that at the end of the retrofit, it's reduce the consumption for the inhabitants, and it's reduce the CO2, the gas. Well, the simple idea is actually very much more complicated in the facts. So maybe if you could change the slide. And it was very necessary to build this outPHit project, where 10 project partners of 7 countries take part. So it's a collaboration between Passivhaus Institute, University of Innsbruck, New Heimat Tirol in Austria, Van in Spain, Hellenic PHI, which is in Greece, and Effective, which is in Bulgaria, and Climate Alliance in Germany, as well as Passive Bauen in the Netherlands, who is showing an example by Gilles Bonsra, the one in France, and Professif, which is the partner for France. Professif is dedicated to the training and to the certification of Passivhaus project. We have been existing since 15 years, and well, we are a little bit more than 15 people. And our part in this outPHit project is to follow different case studies, as well as observer project. Well, the case studies are small projects because they have to be renovated within the time frame of outPHit, which is three years. and the observer projects are bigger ones. And this is we have taken 2 out of those observer projects to show you what can be done with EnerFit renovation. You have, if you want to have a look at different case studies, you have here a few pictures of the case studies in Greece, in Austria, in France, in Spain, in Bulgaria, and as well as in the Netherlands. The idea of the EnerFit standard is to reduce to reduce the consumption by a factor 10, and the CO2 emission of a factor 4 or 5. Maybe you can move to the next. The first project we will show you is called the Colbert project, which is a project in Colombes, in the suburb of Paris. It's an observer project because it's a real big project. It's about 6,000 square meters and 70 dwellings. And it was absolutely too much to be renovated within the time frame of outPHit, but it's an interesting project to have a precise look what happens on such a project where a lot of people involved. This is so the former slide is the project before renovation. This is a picture from the project after renovation. Well, there was much architectural work in it. You might like it or not, but anyway, what is real in the renovated project is the reduction of the consumption and the more comfort for the inhabitants. The project had been subsidized by the European Union. Well, the use of prefabricated module was also an opportunity to work on airtightness of the building. It was also an opportunity to work on the thermal bridges of the building, and it was also an opportunity to optimize the compactness of the thermal envelope and to use a high performance system in order to have at the end a very low consumption and high comfort. We have seen on the last slide one of the advantages of this building was the very flat facade. It's a point in making deep renovation. If you start with a flat facade, which was actually the architectural way to build buildings in the 70s, it's one of the easiest architectural standard for making deep renovation. You see here that there was among Logirep, which is the social landlord, there was a very pool of experts around FH Construction and Indigo, which is the engineer bureau working on the project. So there was a lot of know-how, and it was necessary to make the plans before the start of the construction. Maybe we can move to next step. Here you've got an air view of the buildings. Actually, it's 3 buildings. Building A of 2,000 square meter, a building B of 1,500 square meter, and building C of about 1,700 square meter. Next. If you go into the detail of the retrofit, you see here the layout of the prefabricated modules, which were prepared in a workshop by the firma Techniwood, and it's called panel block. It's actually timber frame modules. And so there was lots of plans in order to be sure that what will be realized in the workshop could be set up on the site without any delay, and which worked actually fine. This was a real success of this renovation. Next slide. Well, you see here the panel block module, where the module has a U value of 0.123, 121. The only problem is maybe the thickness, but if you work with the buildings we were working with, this thickness of the modules doesn't play any disadvantage actually. Next one. Here you see the carpentry detail book. Actually, when you work with, there was parts working with ethics and parts working with panel block modules, and the windows play in those renovation a very important role, because you know that windows are the less efficient part of building existing buildings. So the renovation of the windows are a very important part of the conception design of before designing the renovation. And there was a lot of work which have been done between the start of the project in 2013 and the end of the project in 2022. Next slide, please. Also, here you see another very important part, which is in those very airtightness buildings, the part which is dedicated to the ventilation of the apartments. Here you see a look from the air of the ventilation design on the roof of the building C. And you see here the blue pipes, which is the pipes which bring the fresh air, and the red one, which is the one which bring back the exhaust air, and in between you have the ventilation with heat recovery, which is an important part and very complicated matter in renovation. But with the help of prefabricated modules, we can hide most of the ventilation of those buildings in the prefabricated modules. Well, this is the result of the end of the retrofit. The retrofit, we are still waiting for definite cost linked with this project. But what we know already is that the prefabricated modules costed €600 per square meter, and the project, or the retrofitted project, saved about 7 tons CO2 per year, because it moved from gas to pellet heating, and on a 50 years basis, the retrofit project saves actually 10,000 tons of CO2. So we can say nowadays that those kind of renovation bring absolutely a real impressive advantage for the inhabitants, that's for sure, but also for the whole community, because it reduces the amount of gas emitting the emission of gas of CO2. And this is the last slide of my presentation, and I'm waiting for a question if you have any. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Etienne. Very good. Let's move on to Giel Boonstra, following the outfit. Giel, continue with the presentation, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to present this project, which we have realized in the Netherlands in the last 2 years, with 1.5 years of present preparation before. This is an overview of the 194 almost identical row houses in Goesepolder, which is in Goes in the southwest of the Netherlands. And next slide. We have worked on this project on a specific manner. There was a tender from a housing association and a project management company, and we have made an offer in a way that we had a one-stop shop organization called Build for You, of which Trecodome, which I'm leading as energy expert, is one of the partners. And there's a collaboration and the involvement of a prefab facade manufacturing company and a prefab roof module company, Kingspan Unidec, architecture firm, and a management organization. And we offered this project together with a local team, with a local construction company, which made it possible that we combine a local team which interacts with the tenants and which does all the communication with the tenants, and combines that with the knowledge that we have with our team to make very good prefab renovation projects in existing buildings. This was project number 7 that we have done with this group, also the largest project with 194 houses. And we were really proud that during the construction, when we made a blower door test every now and then, that every time the blower door test was meeting our requirements, and we didn't have to repeat the process, which is pretty typical in projects where you make blower door tests. You find failures and you have to correct it, but we didn't have to do that here. The tender was asking for zero energy ready homes with a heat demand less than 25 kilowatt hour per meter square, and it was asking for a prefab approach. Next slide. And this is how the prefab approach worked with these row houses. Prefabricated facade elements, including everything: the insulation, the triple glazed windows, the summer night ventilation openings, a roof prefabricated with solar PV included, and in the house, in the loft, we made the heat recovery ventilation, and this all together resulted in the low energy demand and in the healthy homes that we were aiming for. Next slide. Here you see the first house that was done, and on the left you see the existing homes, how it looked like, and you see how the very same houses look like afterwards. That indeed there are people that ask, is this new construction or is it renovation? But yes, it's renovation, and it makes everybody very proud of living in almost a new house, even though it is the same house that you lived in before. Next slide. Here you see how an element is craned around the building. We did 4 houses in 1 week, and then the Friday was used to complete the 4 houses, and then next week the same series of houses could start. And then another flow of work came through the project to complete the indoor works, like improving bathrooms and toilets, which was also part of the process. Next. Again, a before picture, and the next one is a after picture. This one. And here you see how the buildings look like very friendly, a better appearance, and you see the well integrated solar panels in the roof, which cover the full household electricity demand of those houses. And we need only 20% of the natural gas that was used before. And that means that these people can withstand the current energy prices, and that these people can still afford to live in a social housing project. And that is the strong message that we also need to convey in the Netherlands, where I have to say that this kind of deep renovation is not yet common practice. So we need all European help and support to consider deep renovation as the solution to fight against fuel poverty, and also as the solution to fight climate change and to achieve a low CO2 performance of the buildings. Next. Proven quality, as I said, a beautiful overview picture. This is part of a short movie that we have where you can see how it's done. So all of that is available later, will be made available to outPHit, but this is to give you a short snapshot of the project. And I think there's one remark, concluding slide, which is this one, and that tells about the net heat demand of buildings that we have achieved here. And we achieved 20 kilowatt hour per meter square. And what we hear so far is that is also the reality. But this is why we are interested in joining outPHit for a monitoring program to really confirm that is true, but we trust it will be. And the important message is that if you go to the left of this slide, then you see that 100 kilowatt hour per meter square is the current average use of social housing in the Netherlands, and that all policy standards at the moment, they aim at a standard renovation level of 70 kilowatt hour per meter square. And what we learn nowadays is that 70 kilowatt hour per meter square is identical to energy poverty. And this is why it's so important to convey the message that deep renovation can offer these solutions, which are even better than new building performances as they are being done in the Dutch market today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Giel. And you also covered some points which could be said in questions. Thank you very much for the points in energy poverty. That was very key indeed. Julia De Aloisio from the Remodules project, which
yes,
I'm
Alexander,
part of as well, will now just, you should be able to share your screen. I'll stop sharing mine in any case, in case it makes it easier. So
I think you can see my screen properly.
yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So first, I would like to tell you a bit about myself. I am a researcher working for CERTIMAC, and I'm currently responsible for conducting EU and national projects in the field of energy efficiency in both the construction and industrial sectors. Today, we are going to talk about Remodules. Well, Remodules is coordination and support action lasting from November 2020 up to October 2023. Our consortium is composed of 15 partners from 7 different pilot countries. In particular, our overall aim and scope of Remodules is represented by creating and developing a platform to facilitate, to foster the activation of EU retrofitting markets of residential buildings. Well, when we wrote Remodules, we realized that a wealth of solution has been developed in past projects, but there is a lack of suitable capitalization strategies and a lack of real fruition of these outcomes that has to be addressed. And Remodules aims at tackling this barrier by devising market uptake strategies to capitalize the results developed in past projects on deep renovation, and making them available into the market. Well, we designed 5 main objectives to be achieved in these 3 years. In these 3 years, yes, in particular, making deep renovation easier and faster, nudging relevant stakeholders to renovation, up to the rollout of the modularist concept on a European level, but through the support of suitable go-to-market exploitation at member state level. Where the concept of modularity is inherent in the name or in the project name. The modularity is meant as multi-level and multi-target. For multi-level, we mean the breakdown of the overall renovation process into standardized segments like energy efficiency and clean energy solution in order to select the most suitable ones. And multi-target refers to the customization of the renovation solution according to the local specific requirements. In the framework of remodules, we designed 3 market. Designed 3 market domains and different level of intervention. In particular, we designed a physical realm meant as the concrete condition of the retrofitting market in different pilot countries. We designed the people realm meant as the human component of the retrofitting market, and the virtual realm meant as the domain of the digital services aimed at fostering the deep renovation of the residential building stock. The planned actions and ongoing activities are going to be developed and are developed according to 3 main transition paths. The first one is based on the capitalization of the available outcomes, both technical and non-technical solutions from past projects. The second one consists in making the capitalized results accessible through the Remodulis Digital Hub, and then the third is based on the impactful and concrete implementation of the solution into the local markets. In particular, in order to capitalize the available outcomes, both technical and non-technical solution, conferences like this will be taken into account, but also we will rely on the consortium expertise in order to make the capitalized results accessible to the stakeholder and to the markets. We are designing the Remodulis digital market activation platform. This is a GIS platform. This is the Remodulis digital hub, a core application tool for diagnosing and precising the retrofitting option and modules. This is a customer journey generator and gathers several training modules. And in order to realize an impactful and concrete implementation of the solution, we are activating 7 different pilot markets selected according to several market maturity scenarios. We are activating them through specific standard action plan and local deployment plans. We are going to establish 7 digital and 4 physical renovation hubs to test, instill, and validate the module solution. Then we have established at local level 7 different renovation local advisory boards formed by the stakeholders of the retrofitting value chain. And then we are enlarging the network of stakeholders through the engagement of further stakeholders at local and national level by forming the local support network to foster the Remodulis impact. But what I would like to share with you our vision. What is the vision behind Remodulis? How do we concretely activate an impact on the renovation process? Well, we started with the participants who are stakeholders who live their own customer journey. And then thanks to the interviews and the ethnographical approach, we were able to aggregate the data in the framework of the renovation process. Additionally, we were able to identify the physical needs and the digital needs of the stakeholders, and we were able to identify the functionalities to be implemented into the platform. On the basis of our expertise, of the consortium expertise, and also of the feedback provided by the local stakeholders, we are able to capitalize, to select the output of a past project and to implement them in the Remodulis digital platform. Therefore, The assembly, composed of the platform, the stakeholder, and the context, forms a community that, thanks to the Remodulus platform, makes its job better. Therefore, the vision behind Remodulus allows us to turn from a classic vision based on users, platform, and content to a new one based on community, usefulness, and results, where the platform is what we call value generator. Thank you for your attention. Should you need any further questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Julia, and I suggest we move directly to Miriam Navarro Escudero from the Save the Homes project. Miriam, you will be sharing your screen as well directly, I think. So I suggest you proceed. We are a little bit behind schedule. I hope we can catch up in time, and we'll try to structure the questions later to help this. Miriam, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Alexander. I'm going to present the Save the Homes project. I'm Miriam Navarro. I work for the Valencia Institute of Building, which is the innovation agency for the Valencian Regional Government of Housing. And I'm here replacing my colleague, Ana Sanchez. So, in
the bar that you have for sharing, there is a hide. Quitar. Can there. You can quitar. Okay, you can hide it this way as well. If we click there, it will disappear.
Now it's okay. Now it's working. Thank you. Oh, well, the project is focused on creating a network of one-stop shops offices as citizen hubs to support the process of integrated home renovations. And well, I'm going to say just a little things about the strategy, because this is something that for sure all of us know. It is the situation of climate emergency that we are suffering, and why the built environment is a key sector we're acting. So renovation is particularly important in order to reduce the CO2 emissions of our building stock, due to that 75% of our building stock is inefficient. So when thinking about the barriers that we identify for this renovation, we identify lack of technical skills, fragmented market, lack of confidence from citizens when undertaking the renovation, lack of performance data, so they don't know about the benefits of renovation because there is no performance data, but also there is a lack of aligned funding in order to undertake the renovation. We also visualize the motivation when designing the one-stop shop office, the motivation of the different citizens for undertaking a renovation. Here I have emphasized the energy savings because it was the objective, but here, for instance, in Valencia region, what happened usually is that energy savings are not the best motivation to deal with, because citizens are interested in other things such as comfort, health, the increase of the value of the building, or the aesthetics of the building. So this is something that we are also considering when developing the strategy for the one-stop shop. For us, the channel to undertake this situation of climate emergency, it was created, the network of one-stop shop offices. And our objectives were to make the home renovation easier, faster, and affordable, to introduce a transparent customer journey, and that it's also attractive for the final citizens, to offer affordable financing for the renovation, and to deliver to show citizens the real benefits of renovation, not only economic, but also by environmental and social. And of course, we also have in mind the replication of the concept on a wider scale. Just to let you know the logic of the consortium, we have two different pilot ecosystems. One is focused on the Netherlands, and the other one in Spain, the Valencian community. And we have involved all the actors that we need that are key for the implementation of this network of one-stop shops. And we have also two cities that are followers of the concept, and umbrella associations in charge of the replication at European level. We also have pilot level objectives, and it is because it was a specific request for the Valencian government of housing. They were particularly interested on the concept of the one-stop shop because they considered that it was really key for accelerating the renovation rates in our region. It was one of the objectives of our pilot to prove the concept of a one-stop shop office, because we think that is a channel to improve the governance between different levels of administration. This is because usually, at least in the Spanish situation, the regions are in charge of, well, they have the competencies for legislation in terms of housing and renovation, but usually are the municipalities the ones that have the direct contact with citizens and are the ones who can influence the position of citizens. So we consider that this one-stop shop office is a key element to improve the governance, replicate in the region, generate a network, not only one-stop shop office in a city, but also in the rest of the cities in the Valencia region, and also evaluate the energy grants strategy and the housing policies impact that they are promoting. So here, what I have included is the different stops that we have designed for the one-stop shop office. In the first line, you can see like the different experience that we are offering to the users, to the citizens that want to undertake a renovation. So inform, know, decide, realize, and enjoy are the different stops. And also they have a parallelism with the technical aspects in which the supply side is involved. So the awareness, the diagnosis, the planning, the construction, and the verification. These are the stops that we have defined together with all these actors that we consider key for this, the type of services that we are offering in the one-stop shop service. So municipalities, civil servants that are attending the one-stop shop offices, the financial institutions, professionals, product suppliers, this type of, all the agents that are involved in the renovation value chain. And of course, the owners and tenants that are the final target of the one-stop shop offices. These are the functionalities that we are foreseeing in each of the stops. So the first one is much focused on analyzing the data and awareness. The second one is more focused on designing the solutions with the final users. The third one is focused on deciding the effective renovation that they will implement. The fourth one is focused on realizing the construction or implementing the works. And the final one is focused on the monitoring and verification. That is something related also with other presentations today. So, and this is related with the topic of the workshop today. What we are doing to offer this functionality is not developing each of the services. You know, we are basing this on already tried and tested solutions from other initiatives, national, European projects that we consider that are key in these functionalities, to provide these functionalities. So as I have mentioned before, we have two demonstration cases, the Netherlands and Spain. And this is the ecosystem in Spain. We have one pilot office in the city of Valencia, which is managed by the Valencian Climate Energy Foundation. We have IBE representing the regional government and also in charge of replicating the concept of the pilot in all the region, which is SALOC, which is the network of already implemented one-stop offices in different municipalities. And we also have, as users, the Valencian Association of Property Administrators, because we consider that it is a key agent to promote energy renovation in multifamily buildings. And of course, in the Spanish situation, we have a follower city in Catalonia. This is the example of the energy office, one-stop shop office in the Valencia city. And we are also considering a mobile office to provide services to smaller municipalities that don't have the resources or the infrastructure to provide the service. We are also dealing with a virtual office. I will explain you something more now. This is an example of the different stops and the services that we are providing in the energy office. And here, what we have is an image of the virtual office. This is something that we have designed not for the citizen, although it can be also used for the citizen. but for the civil servants that are dealing with the citizens in the offices. And that's why, because usually they have a more social profile, but they are not energy experts. So we use this virtual office as support for the people that are dealing with the citizens. So here we have like different solutions that we have taken from other projects in order to provide functionalities in each of the stops. So for instance, here we have a awareness campaign coming from Elimet project, or we have other tools coming from Remodulis or other regional project in which we have designed a co-design tool to decide solutions. I'm going quick. We have designed also a register in the part of construction. We have designed a register of construction companies to validate to demonstrate the quality and the compliance of these companies for the users. And finally, we also have monitoring. That's something that we are still dealing with. It's not already in place in the office. The results so far, we have 21 citizen hubs implemented in the regions, 74 municipalities involved, and 9,000 visitors. And here what we have is the dashboard of indicators that for up to now, it is just focused on the visits that we have. But of course, we are working on quantify the users that are renovating buildings after going to the office, and also to evaluating the performance of the building after this renovation. So that's all from my side. I will wait for your questions if you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miriam. And I have to say that your speech was quite commendable. So last but not least, we have, sorry, stop sharing, I'm sharing my wrong screen. This should be the one, correct? Okay. Do you see? Yes, okay, now it should be correct. Okay, so last but not least, we have Kiki Papadopoulou from CRES representing this SMAFIN project. Look at specific aspects of financing, and I'll try to wrap it up all and move to the questions afterwards. So Kiki, the floor is yours. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Alexander. Good afternoon. I'm Kiki Papadopoulou from the Center for Renewable Energy Sources and Saving in Greece. And I'm going to say some words about SMAFIN and its results up to now, as briefly as I can, respecting the time. Next slide, please. So SMAFIN is a 3-year project which is financed by the European program Horizon 2020, and it is implemented for 2 years until now in 4 countries: in Greece by CRES, who is the coordinator, and in INTEB, in Bulgaria by ENEFECT, in Croatia by REGEA, and in Romania by NRO and ProNZ. The project is aiming to support financing for energy efficiency investments. Mainly, we have chosen as main sector buildings, private and public ones, but also we have dealt with SMEs, industry, and infrastructure. Our main activities are organizing roundtable discussion, at least 1 per year and per participating country. The objectives of the project include the capitalization of sustainable energy investment forums, drafting policy recommendations regarding energy efficiency measures and financing tools, and connection of relative initiatives and stakeholders through the roundtables themselves, but also through the online platform that SMAFIN has in operation since the first months of the project. Next slide, please. What the team has achieved until now. We have succeeded drafting 4 technical reports. The first one regards the analysis of previous initiatives. Mainly, we have referred to the Sustainable Energy Investment Forums, which is the initiative that SMAFIN is based on. We have elaborated market analysis for the 4 countries and a collection of best practices and financing tools for energy upgrading buildings. And we have a selection of policy measures that, according to the team and to the interviews we have implemented in the 4 countries, worth to be redesigned. Up to now, we have completed the 2 cycles of the roundtable. That means we have organized about 8 roundtable discussions in the 4 countries. And you can find the results, proceedings, and discussion highlights in the SMAFIN platform. I'm going to skip yes, thanks. We are going to the online platform. I told you that it is online since the first months of the project, and part of the information that one can find in a normal project website, you can find there a toolbox containing technical reports, financing tools, best practices, and a place, the forum, that after registration you can start a discussion or follow a discussion, exchange experience with other experts at national and European level. We are going to skip also the communication, the rest communication activities that are the usual accompanying a project. We have issued a newsletter, we have several references at media and communication campaigns. You can find them all on the SMAFIN platform. We can go to the next slide, please. And here you can see the main topics that we have dealt with in the roundtable. That is financing energy efficiency in public and residential buildings, energy efficiency in industry, energy poor households, and then we have tried to introduce some new terms and new concepts from a European level to the national one that stakeholders are not too much familiar, at least in our countries. And we have sessions about EU taxonomy, about energy efficiency auctions for tertiary sector companies, and in Croatia they have dealt with new European Bauhaus as an incentive for sustainable financing for buildings. Other topics also, but these are the main topics. And here are some highlights from the discussion from the last round, the one that has been organized last spring in the 4 countries. Again, just indicative, the full fact sheets and reports are on the platform. In Bulgaria, they have identified that the most sustainable solution to reduce energy poverty is building renovation. The second one refers to the quality assurance of materials, as well transparency of procedures for the whole renovation process. And you will realize that the findings are more or less things that we have heard from other speakers before, that they have realized and identified in their project. They are more or less common things. In Croatia, they have, from the discussion, has come out that continuous and regular publication of calls is more important than the co-financing rates, because it normalized market somehow. And the second point refers to something that we very often hear from European officers and national policy officer also, that we cannot rely on subsidies from European and national budget, but we have, not in the future, but currently we have to motivate and convince the building owners to use their own funds. Next slide, please. Yes. In Greece, banks have expressed their willingness to see other actors involved in the whole process, so as to prepare a credible dossier. It would be, they are more or less asking for technical support, let's say. Again, in Greece, a main barrier for ESCOs seems to be the lack of energy consumption data and other data for buildings, for the buildings themselves, as well as the high initial costs in terms of the project design, the initial phase, the preparation phase. And in Romania, they have identified need for actions from the market sector, let's say. They need to have to improve standardized technical procedures to reduce costs and improve the quality of services. And I refer to the second point firstly because I think that comes first than the first one. Then we need to increase, of course, awareness and trust. We have to make a credible market first. And the third point is to improve financing conditions of the investment plans targeting the renovation of the houses offered by the one-stop shop. Next one, I don't know, I will very briefly refer to this because it's what we have succeeded up to now. This is the real thing. I mean that we have acted in fact as informal consultation. We made an informal consultation during the roundtable for the energy auctions in Greece. We have identified solutions and measures that encourage the financing. Again, we have provided many times feedback to European and national policy makers. And as in taxonomy case, we have introduced new concepts to national audience. I would not go further. The last slide, yes, is inviting you to join our discussion, SMAFIN, by visiting the SMAFIN platform and following us to the social media. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kiki, and also for helping very much with the time. I know that Hill Bostra has to leave for another session in 10 minutes, so I would like to go straight to questions that have been asked on the project that he presented. And then move back to Etienne, who was before in the order and also has a couple of questions. So, Hill, I don't know if you can see in the chat the questions. I can ask them directly, also for the ones for people listening. So, first of all, did you have any issues with the HVAC with the project? For example, connecting to existing systems inside the buildings and balancing of the system. There's three more questions. I think they are quite separate.
Yeah, and I already answered the question in the chat also because I wasn't sure that you had the time for this. But what we basically did is separating the heating and ventilation as it was before. And since it's an airtight building, balancing the heat recovery ventilation is not more difficult than in another project. But the main concern was how to deal with the kitchen exhaust, because this is something which is disturbing everything and disturbing the air tightness. So we installed a special device that the kitchen exhaust is closed when the kitchen exhaust is not in use. And so this is the attention that we gave.
There are many different possibilities for kitchen exhaust. There's a lot of documentation about different type of exhaust to be used in passive houses, and there's many possibilities. Whether you work in a closed circle, or you switch off the exhaust when you don't want to disturb your HVAC and so on. There's a lot of work having done on this particular system, mainly for big kitchen, because you have here a very small kitchen. But what do you do when you have a commercial kitchen? It's a lot of a very huge question which have been resolved.
Yeah, and it's a very important question because the air volumes that are being used in kitchens are way beyond the air volumes that you normally use for ventilation reasons. And if you are very sensitive in making everything together and subtle and it works, and then you have a big disturber to it, then you must realize this and then use, as Etienne said, one of the many solutions, but it's important to pay attention to it.
That's right, and we have in France a special regulation for kitchen. So we are very much focused on this subject.
Good.
Very good point. Okay, moving on to the next question. I see one is about the average cost per square meter. I think you presented this, so we will make in PDF format the presentations afterwards shareable on the Remodule site and of course in all the project websites. So I think that can be answered there. But there is a question on the net metering model used in the country. Is a simple process, or is there a particular law that that you took advantage of?
Sorry to interrupt. There is a simple law that if you produce 1 kilowatt-hour electricity, you get when you deliver it to the grid the same price as what you have to pay when you import from the grid. That, of course, is a pretty old-fashioned model because the energy prices are not the same in the middle of summer and in the middle of winter. And this was a good system to promote renewables and to promote PVs. But also in the Netherlands, this will come to an end in 2025 and then gradually go to the market situation where you get a lower price in the middle of summer. And probably we all move to flexible energy tariffs anyway, also during the day. And I personally think that this is a very good situation because now we can start thinking about how to play with energy, how to use it in a smart way, at what time of the day and when to store it, etc. So even though I'm in favor of renewables, I'm very much in favor of opening up the market for smart solutions. And so far with our system, there is no incentive to do anything smart if you have net metering. And this is, for this reason, we have no batteries in our market at the moment because there's no economical incentive for it. And that's why I'm happy that this is going to change in 2025.
Very good. And one final question, going back to the technical aspects, how applicable is your solution to other types of houses? In the Netherlands, the housing stock seems to be fairly unified compared to other markets. I think Energy Strong has been applied to other markets, but of course, again, it's an example that can say more about it, please.
Yeah, we were in the market well before that Energy Strong came in the market, and we collaborated a lot with German manufacturers, and we have done quite a few projects in multi-story buildings, also with the same team that this project in Goes was done. So we have examples of multi-story buildings, 3 to 7 stories, with similar results and similar approaches. So it's definitely not exclusively for row houses, but since that is a common type, you can imagine that it starts from there, but it's definitely not exclusive for this house type.
Very good points. And the question to Etienne that was previously posed, I think, is very similar. It has to do with them. Besides the roof, prefabricated facades, panels, could these include PV modules or pipes for water and air heating? So again,
yes. There's we don't. There's no must for PV production, but if the client wants it, there's no obstacle to this. In the case I presented, there was no need for PV production, and this is why the HVAC was set up on the floor, on the rooftop. But it could have been decided otherwise. Maybe we could have done both to put HVAC plus PV. But actually, it was a project we started in 2013, so there wasn't so much push for PD at that time, and this is the reason I think they have chosen this solution, just to reduce the consumption and to enhance the comfort of the inhabitant, of course.
Very good. Thank you very much. I see Hill is leaving, so thank you in particular. Good luck with the next session. So next questions are to Julia. So Julia, how do you make sure that such a platform remains user-friendly and doesn't get too complicated for ordinary homeowners to use?
That's a very good point. That's a very good question. But we ensure that it is user-friendly for homeowners and will be user-friendly because the platform is designed on the basis of users' feedback and with interaction of local stakeholders. And among the local stakeholders, there is not only the supply side or financial side or institutional side, but also a strong presence of the demand side, housing association of property owners, and we regularly meet with matchmaking sessions and events, for example, or dedicated meetings, where we design together with them the functionalities of the platform, the contents of the platform, how to access the different services. But after the Remodulis project, where the interaction with local stakeholders will continue thanks to the establishment of the REAB that are established during the project, but will be operational after the project completion, and they will ensure the continuation of the renovation process and will help us in maintaining the platform easy, user-friendly, and updated, let's say, in the contents.
Very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think next questions are to Miriam. So starting, Miriam, you can
Yes.
open your camera and microphone. Very good. So first question, can you explain more about the Citizen Lab, the aims, objectives, where those are located, and what is the role of local authorities and such schemes? Should be
well, the Citizen
idea.
Lab is another way. The Citizen Lab is another way to say the one-stop shop office. So it's the same. It's the same. So the objective, of course, is to offer energy renovation services to citizens in order to accelerate the renovation rates in the different cities, regions, and European level. The role of authorities, these are the ones that are providing the energy offices. So in the case of Valencia, which is the pilot city, they have already created a one-stop shop office by themselves. In the case of the rest of municipalities that are involved in the network, they are supported by the regional government to create the one-stop shop office. So it is a shared approach between the regional government and the municipality.
Good. Thank you very much. Then, do people pay money for the services provided by the one-stop shop, or is it providing renovation solutions provided for free?
Everything so far is provided for free. It's true that there is also a question about measuring and providing renovation solutions for free. For measuring, we are verifying the performance of renovation. We are thinking about self-evaluated protocols, which is something really easy for users. But based, for instance, on the bills after renovation, we are able to provide them an evaluation of the benefits of the renovation. We are also thinking about installing sensors. In that case, we'll need to think how to finance them. But our intention is always provide the services for free for the users, because it is something really promoted by the regional government.
Very
so
good.
it is final.
And final question for you: do you also somehow match people to supply the solutions? I assume technicians and professionals.
Yeah.
To supply the solutions and products for the renovations to the one-stop shop?
So far, we are not matching both the demand and the supply side, but this is the following step that we are undertaking. First, we have a tool now that you put directly your address, and you can obtain 9 solutions for renovation in your home. We have also the register of construction companies that are specialized on renovation. And the following step is that when somebody select one of the renovation measures, we can connect directly with the different companies that are offering this service. Well, not only with one of them, but to contact with all the construction companies that are offering this service with the same template for a quotation. So they will obtain the budget from different companies for one specific solution. So it is the following step. That's something that we haven't done so far, but it is our intention.
Very good. Thank you. We move to the last part of our session, which in reality is very much linked to the questions that have already been asked, but I'd like to open the floor also to the other speakers. So I invite everyone to open their cameras and at any time answer, but I have specifically for 3 of our speakers the first question. So one point which is quite clear from here, I would say that if one asks if it's possible to deeply renovate, if it's efficient, if it's financially viable, etc., I think most of those points were clearly answered today, and I think that for professionals working in these subjects, many more answers to such questions are quite clear. Nevertheless, making a decision to do deep renovation in one's home, moving specifically to the residential sector, is for many the second most important decision to purchasing their home, or in many cases they might have the question, the home might be a legacy in their family. So they find themselves in a home and they have the opportunity or the thinking about renovation. So what do you think in the case of financial guarantees for such a situation? Would this be something that is important? Could this be provided? I mean, technically we see moving from 100% to 20% of the cost in energy, and of course this is quite probably not well, I don't think we'll be going anytime soon to cheap energy. So this might be a huge opportunity. Or should the homeowners be left to make their own financial decisions in a situation where we want to move the renovation wave? So I'd like to invite in the order, first Jerome, then Etienne, and then Kiki, who have elected this question.
Yeah, regarding this final point of view, definitely the kind of contract we have with EPC contract type is definitely a very good and useful and powerful tool to tackle the financial situation. Definitely, all the works you have to do specifically on the building envelopes cost a lot of money, and you have to deal with this point, and specifically with this kind of contract, you can deal with this amount of money on a large time scale, and definitely it's much more affordable for people to have this financial system and contract in order to tackle with the huge amount of works you have to pay if you do it right now, and you don't use this kind of contract all over the years.
Thank you. Etienne?
Well, the point of the outPHit project is to demonstrate then that if you do deep renovation and with and regard the procedure in order to make a renovation to the passive house level, we want, with the monitoring of all the case studies we have, which are in between about 20,000 square meter, We want to show that this effective renovation, effective deep renovation, it can be a reality. But actually, we are waiting for the monitoring data. We are waiting for the one for the Colbert project. But our deep feeling is that if you do deep renovation and respect the rules for doing so, you can have actually at the end exactly the measured data. That's what you suggested at the beginning of the renovation.
Very good point. Kiki?
Yes, I'm not sure, but I would say that, for example, EPC market is not very much operating in Greece, or you perhaps know yourself, Alexander. So I think that the combination of measures would work for the Greek market. I mean, I think that we need to trigger interest with some subsidies or financing, and then we have to optimize a little bit the market. I mean, to make a credible service and increase the trust of the owners for the materials and the services provided by the market operators. I think that a homeowner needs to have trust that what he's going to pay or co-pay for is going to be something that wants to do it. I believe in combination, at least from the Greek the Greek situation.
Well, the workshop today is for integrated solutions, so I think most of us follow this approach. So, okay, what would you consider the one most important obstacle? We have 7 minutes, so I would ask maximum 1 minute from each speaker who wants to answer the question. What would you consider the most important obstacle at the moment for deep renovation? And possibly, if you can also suggest the key solution, not necessarily for that obstacle, the solution might cover more aspects, but let's say that you want one thing that people remember from today's workshop as a potential, as a main obstacle and main solution. So I'd give the floor, well, in the order I see you: Miriam, Julia, Jérôme, Kiki, and Etienne. So let's start from, unless of course you don't want to express an opinion, but let's start with Miriam.
Okay. Apart for the financing, which is of course key, for instance, in regions or countries, when we have these weather conditions and the investment in energy is not so high during the year, for instance, in winter, we are not using, especially in the Valencia region, which is in the Mediterranean coast, so much investment in energy. It is the main obstacle is that they don't have the users don't have information about other benefits that they will have with the renovation. So we need to emphasize that there will be also an increase in the value of the property, but we need to visualize this with measure data. So that's why we are focusing also a specific stop of the one-stop office in that specific matter. So to visualize the benefits.
Excellent, thank you. Julia?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I totally agree with Miriam on this point. I see also one of the barriers represented by the lack of exploitation of the outcomes of the project. But I think that more important is the fragmentation of tools, services, solutions. And this, I think that's a great barrier for the development of the deep retrofitting market. The fragmentation, I think, of all the services, also starting from the information, all the things are spread. There isn't one service point that support unbiased service point. That's the point. Unbiased service point that support users. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jérôme?
I would say that another key point is the social, ecological, and cultural one. because it should be, or it should become quite obvious that the deep renovation and all the works you do on energy efficiency on your building has to be done. And we know that we have a lot of steps before it becomes really obvious in the homeowners or residential dwellings owners. And maybe today we start to think another way, but we will need still a lot of pedagogy and a lot of time to make it obvious. And that is one also for me a real key thing. More the sociological point.
Excellent, thank you. Kiki?
Yes, I agree with all aspects said before, but except visualizing all the benefits an owner will have, we should try to minimize also the difficulties. I mean, except financing, the annoyance one has when going to a deep renovation because it's not. A so short thing that you can make at home, but maybe you have to find somewhere else to live for a couple of months when you have a deep renovation. So again, we are coming to the services by the market, because if the services by the market are very are optimized, you can avoid disturbance, we can avoid many things. So except that the benefits, we have to minimize also the problems going to a deep renovation. I think this is an obstacle that an owner is thinking of.
Very good, thank you. Etienne?
I think what we have discovered as a main obstacle to the deep renovation is, for me, non-quality. We have discovered a lot of non-quality on the different sites we monitor, and this is a very big part of the more cost of the deep renovation. I think if the procedures would be more streamlined, more clear to all the participants of the building community, we could have a deep renovation to half the price of what it is now. And this is what we want to promote within this outPHit project, in order to be able to deep renovate lots of massively, without those high costs we face today, which are mainly caused by non-quality on the site itself.
Excellent point, and it's interesting that quite a few of the projects noted in their relations with stakeholders the point of trust coming up continually, and also Julian noted now the kind of let's say objective approach of bringing everything together, but this should be correctly done. I think the examples that were given also in the practical application were very important. So to bring it all together, I think that the examples brought show that the solutions are there. The relations, the discussions with stakeholders show that there's a need for integrated solutions and things becoming a little bit simpler and more streamlined. When we see solutions invested at the level of the social housing that has 20%, let's say, of another such building, the consumption of 20% of the consumption of such a building. I was interested also to the potential long-term effect. I saw in certain cases talking about 50 years or 100 years. I don't know how reasonable it is to think of 100 years ahead, but definitely many of those buildings will be around in 50 years from now, the buildings that we have now. So the opportunities are there. I hope that even the current crisis will be an opportunity to show such examples of solutions, that they are there, that they will spend this winter with reasonable costs, and it will be amazing if this then becomes better known. I would like to thank you very much for your presence today. for your contributions, to thank our audience for staying with us until this point, and all the questions that were raised. I think that I'm very grateful for our projects coming together this way and showing the points of interest that they have to show to the public. And hopefully we will meet again in future such meetings, and with much better results also in the implementation to show. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.